Don't let guilt sink your business.
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOPRENEUR. Welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceSam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicesam and receive 3 months of VoiceSam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicesam.
The VOPRENEUR podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR. Looking forward to diving into another episode with you. Before we do, I want to remind you that every episode of the podcast is available for download at VOPRENEUR.com. Go back, listen to the archives. I know that at least some of you have a little bit of extra time on your hands right now, so this would be a really great opportunity to invest in your learning. Invest in yourself, invest in your business. Every episode of the podcast available at VOPRENEUR.com. I got a really important message that I want to share with you in this episode, and it stems from several different conversations that I have had. Some of those conversations have taken place online in social media platforms, and a number of those conversations have taken place in private one-on-one coaching sessions, which I offer one-on-one coaching for voice actors in business and marketing. The overlying theme is this theme of fear and guilt when it comes to operating a voiceover business right now. So let's talk about guilt first. There are a lot of voice actors who are experiencing guilt in a lot of different ways right now. Some of them are guilty about the fact that they are still working, and they see that some of their colleagues are not, or some of their colleagues have experienced massive drop-off in their business, and so that makes them feel guilty for still working. Some of them are feeling guilty because they know friends, family, loved ones who have lost their jobs, whether it be temporarily or permanent, as a result of COVID-19 and all of the closures and shutdowns that have happened. And so they have this guilty feeling about still being able to work, still being able to make money when people that they know, people that they love, people that they respect are currently out of work. And I understand that side of things too. And then there's also just a general sense of guilt about, is this even what I should be doing in the midst of a pandemic right now? Like, aren't there so many other more important things that are happening in the world right now that I feel guilty just even thinking about trying to do voiceover business? And so all of these different areas of guilt, which I completely understand, and some of them I have had to process through myself, but all of these different areas of guilt are creating a paralyzing fear about working. And so voice actors who could be still booking, voice actors who could still be in the studio, voice actors who could still be earning a living to take care of themselves, keep their business running, take care of their families, etc., are shying away from opportunities because of this overarching feeling of guilt. And some of them, it happened because they posted on social media that they were still working, and then they got blasted by their friends and colleagues who weren't still working. And maybe they weren't direct attacks, but rather than the celebration of congratulations on the job, it was more like, oh, geez, it must be nice to be able to work right now. Oh, geez, must be nice to be booking right now. And so then that, again, compounds into the feelings of guilt that are taking place, which causes voice actors to not want to go to work. The other side of this equation, the other emotion that is running rampant right now, and again, this is from conversations on social media and conversations from private coaching sessions, is just a general fear. Now, the media has done an exceptional job at creating fear. I honestly think that the fear that has been created and the emotional and mental trauma that that level of fear will ultimately cause is probably going to be worse than the pandemic itself. People are afraid of everything right now. People are afraid to literally go outside right now. And that's not a good place to be. And so part of that fear, though, is playing into people not wanting to market their voiceover services. I don't want to reach out to the wrong person and upset somebody. I don't want to sound tone deaf. I don't want to put myself in a position where, I'm connecting with a business who's closed. And so all of this fear has caused voice actors to just kind of shrink back. And there are a lot of very talented voice actors who could be working right now who have instead decided to just kind of crawl back into themselves, and they're just going to ride this out, however long that may take. And when all is said and done, then they'll get back to work again. And this is a product of the guilt and the fear. We need to address those things because those things are not good. Those are not good emotions. Again, I understand why you would feel that way. I know that in the first couple weeks, particularly of the shutdown, when I was still working every single day, I was literally in the booth every single day, and I experienced a little mini boom in the e-learning side of my voiceover business. There was a part of me that felt guilty because I was seeing how other voice actors were experiencing difficulties, and that is part of what made me want to try to help in the first place. That's why there are multiple COVID-related podcast episodes right now that talk about watching for trends and talking about where to find opportunities, talking about how to effectively market through these times, because I want to help voice actors to be able to still move forward in their business and understand that my wife is out of work. My wife is a teacher. We don't know when she's going back to work again. So it has hit our household. I do understand what is going on, but I also understand that I have a responsibility as a business owner. I have a responsibility to my family. I have a responsibility to my clients, and call it altruistic, but I believe that I have a responsibility to the economy. In the United States, for example, small businesses represent between 50 and 54% of the GDP. That's huge. That's half the economy from small businesses. And if there is anything that I can do to contribute to the economy, right now especially, then I feel like I need to be doing that. Now, granted, I'm not in the United States, but the numbers are probably very similar in Canada. The idea, though, is I want to make myself available to be a solution to the problem. I want to make myself available to be part of what pushes us forward so that we can come out on the other side of this. I don't want to sit back and watch businesses close knowing that I could have done something and knowing that I didn't do anything. And so I have continued to market my voiceover services. I continue to reach out to new companies every single day. I continue to touch base with my clients and my prospects every single day. I have sent hundreds upon hundreds of email messages, probably closer to 1,000 emails since this all started back in mid-March, because I want my clients to know that I'm here. I want them to know that I'm available. I want them to know that I will be a resource to them. I want them to know that I can help them in any way that I can. And maybe that's not even voiceover. I've had conversations with some of my clients about brainstorming sessions and bouncing ideas of how can they pivot right now to continue to find work and opportunity for their business so they can keep their doors open. I don't want to get bogged down by the guilt and by the fear. And it's real. Believe me, it's real. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really rough night. I've not been sleeping well. I've had a lot of stress. A lot of it is related to the kitchen and what we're going through in our kitchen renovation right now and not being able to get our house put back together, which has caused a lot of stress for me. But there was a night a couple of weeks ago where I had a really bad dream, and I don't remember it, but apparently I woke up through the night just screaming, and it woke up my wife and it woke up my kids, and it terrified them. I don't really remember much of what happened, but clearly there was something going on there. And I know that part of that was a result of all of the stress, all of the fear that is being put out there in the media. There was a level of guilt because I was still working and things were still happening in my business. So I get it. I understand it. But I want to encourage you to look beyond it. If I've sent 1,000 email messages in the last 6 or 7 weeks, and I could easily say that I've sent 1,000 email messages in the last 6 or 7 weeks, I have not received one angry response. Not one. That doesn't mean that maybe I didn't upset somebody. Maybe I didn't hit a business that was closed. I don't know. But I didn't receive one single angry response. Not one person has responded to me to tell me that I was insensitive, that I was a jerk, that I was tone deaf, that I was an ambulance chaser. Nothing. Now, some of my clients and prospects have responded back to tell me that their businesses have dropped off significantly. Some of them have responded back to tell me that their doors are closed. Some of them have responded back to tell me that they're scared. And I have done everything that I can to be supportive, to be encouraging, to be a sounding board for those people, to show empathy, to show compassion. But the greater point here is that one of the reasons why voice actors are afraid to market right now is because we're afraid that we're going to come across as insensitive. And my point is, if you are sending the right messages, then you are not going to come across as insensitive. Because trust me when I say this, there is not one single small business owner anywhere in the world right now that wouldn't reopen their business today if they were allowed to be able to do it. This is what business owners want to do. Business owners want to run their business. Business owners want to get back to work. And so because of that, it's a common bond that ties us all together. So I think that they understand that people like you and me are still marketing to try to find voiceover opportunities, that video production houses are still marketing to try to find video production opportunities. We're doing what we have to do to try to find the work. And so these feelings of guilt and these feelings of fear that we have, I'm not saying they're not real. I think that people are genuinely feeling guilty, that people are genuinely feeling that fear. And I think that it is genuinely paralyzing them from doing the things that they can be doing, need to be doing, should be doing. I'm just not sure how much of it is based in reality. Now, if you are trying to just go on business as usual, acting like nothing is happening, then absolutely you are going to come across as tone deaf. But if you're acknowledging what is going on in the world, you're showing genuine concern and compassion while still simultaneously trying to keep the business open, business owners are going to understand that. Because trust me, behind the scenes, they are doing the same things. I have had more engaging email conversations with prospects in the last few weeks than I have had in the last few months. Because here's the other side of this. People want to talk right now. Well, we're doing this whole social distancing thing. While we're limited from all of those interactions, people want to talk right now and they want to be heard right now. And they don't just want to have conversations with their family that they've been staying at home with for, 6 or 7 weeks, not being able to see anybody else outside of those walls. And so I've had some really fun conversations, some really meaningful conversations, some really encouraging, inspiring, and helpful conversations. And I've participated in some challenging conversations too, because I understand the fear of losing your business. I understand the fear of not being able to put food on the table. That's a very real fear. And if I can help some of my clients get through that, then I want to. The point of this episode is to encourage you to not let that guilt and that fear shut you down. There are still opportunities to do voiceover work, and you shouldn't feel guilty about that. The media would have us believe that the whole entire world is shut down and on standstill right now, and the economy is crashing, and we're tanking, and we're going into depression, and it's going to be worse than 29, and all of this sort of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, there are businesses and sectors that are thriving right now. Any given day, if you go looking for it, you can find lists upon lists of companies that are still hiring. That doesn't get reported in the news every day because that doesn't fit the fear-based narrative that they're trying to create. But it's happening. Companies that are hiring hundreds, companies that are hiring thousands, companies that are hiring tens of thousands. What does that mean? It means that work is still happening, that there are certain businesses and certain sectors that are still thriving. And how is that relevant to you? Does it mean that you should go and get a job at your local grocery store as a checkout clerk? No, that's not what I'm talking about. But what I am saying is, if those companies are hiring, if those companies are thriving, are those companies still advertising? That means they're creating commercials. Are those companies still active on social media? Does that mean that they're creating video-based content for their social media channels or for their website? If those companies are still hiring, does that mean that the doors are still open and they're still updating their phone systems? Follow the trends. Follow the opportunities. Think like a business owner. Your responsibility as a VOpreneur is to keep the doors open. And you should not feel guilty about trying to keep the doors open. You should not feel guilty about trying to succeed in your business. You should not feel guilty about being able to provide for your family. You have nothing to feel guilty about when you are doing those things, because small business owners and business owners, period, around the globe right now are trying to do the same thing. Overcome the fear. Overcome the guilt. It doesn't mean that you ignore it. It doesn't mean that you're tone deaf. It doesn't mean that you pretend like everything is sunshine and rainbows. It means that we embrace the situation that we are in right now in the economy, as a country, as a population, as a human race. We embrace it and we face it head on. We try to find ways to help. We try to find ways to be solutions to problems. We acknowledge those that continue to have the fear and the guilt that keeps them paralyzed, but we don't allow it to dictate whether or not we're going to get up in the morning, go into our office, send a bunch of marketing emails, connect with a bunch of clients, check in on a bunch of people, and still keep trying to keep our business booming. Because here's the other side of this equation. COVID is not going to last forever. One of the things that has frustrated me is I keep seeing more and more articles in the media that talk about and use the words never and forever, like this is a permanent thing. This is not a permanent thing. When we come out on the other side of this, is the economy going to restart? Is it going to be like we're going to flip a switch and boom, everything's back to the way it was pre-COVID? Absolutely not. But the economy is going to restart. Businesses are going to reopen. Work is going to start happening again. All of those businesses that are closed right now, a lot of them are going to open again. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are going to open again. And when they do, they are going to have stories to tell. They are going to have new messages to share. And who do you think is going to be the one that is going to get those opportunities? The voice actors that have stayed present, that have been active on social media, that have been checking in, that have been following up, that have been showing genuine interest and concern, or the voice actors who shut it down for a few months, hid away in the safety of their homes, and binged watched all of Netflix? Which one do you think is going to get the opportunities? I know which one is going to get the opportunities, and that is the group that I want to be in. Feel what you're feeling, but don't be swayed by public opinion. Don't be swayed by media reports. Don't let one bad experience, one negative comment be enough to make you want to shut your business down. There's no reason to shut your business down right now. Maybe you've got to pivot where you're marketing to. Maybe you've got to pivot what you're saying in your marketing messages. But don't just let guilt and fear take control of your business. Be encouraged. We've already seen messages of roadmaps being laid out in different countries for how the economy will get reopened. Not necessarily timelines everywhere, but roadmaps. We're starting to make plans. There is a light at the end of this COVID-19 tunnel. Hang in there, and we will get through this. And your voiceover business will be able to continue to grow and thrive on the other side of it if you do the right things right now. And in the meantime, head to the website at VOPRENEUR.com. Listen to every past episode of the podcast, including about the last 6 or so, which are all specifically about getting through the COVID-19 pandemic with your voiceover business. What trends to be watching out for, what to be doing in your marketing, how to be taking care of yourself right now as well. Every episode is available at VOPRENEUR.com. Thanks so much for listening. Catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOpreneur Podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly. we think.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
And scene.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOpreneur goodness? Jump online at VOpreneur.com.